if your portfolio creates more questions than answers, I think that that's already a problem. It's not only about showing your work and putting a bunch of case studies and like, oh yeah, it's gonna be cool, or I think I'm gonna like relate to this work. No, like if I don't get convinced visually, then there's already kind of like a big wall for me to like overpass, right? One interesting thing about portfolios is that it's an interesting portfolio for sure. So I mean, I'm gonna start by saying that I like that it's simple, you know. It's not necessarily like trying too hard, you know. There's like some kind of like interesting visual choices, like using the like lime green as like an accent color in the icons and like in some buttons. I like that. The photo like in the hero image, I think that that's also kind of cool because you're like, oh okay, like I mean, I guess it kind of like makes me think like he likes music, you know. I think that there's something about that, which is cool, you know. I think like people should use photos that like represent them in whatever way they think like it's gonna represent like their passions and their values and their beliefs, you know. I think that's important. Where I start kind of like, so like that first fold, I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then like when I move into the case studies, like the first thing I'm like, I feel that white box is too striking, you know. It kind of like threw me off a little bit, seeing it feels kind of like off place. But I don't know what you guys think about that.
As in, it was too much contrast. Is your point?
Yes, kind of. Yeah, it was like I was expecting kind of like a dark theme type of portfolio, and then like, whoa, like what's that? You know. But I mean, like that's then like you move a little bit more, and then with the green, it kind of looks cool, you know. So I'm just critiquing kind of like the visual choices, you know. I kind of
yeah.
But that first one kind of like felt off.
I'm with you on that because to me, like the green fits in with the green he's already kind of introduced throughout, and so then like having it being white feels a little odd. And so the other thing that's a little bit odd as far as a visual choice is having, you know, hard corners here when everything else has rounded everything, even up here. So it's like it's a very odd choice to have that rounded, like not rounded. The other thing I was going to mention was just like these look like buttons to me, and they're not. They do not look like tags. And so like that to me is
totally
like a red flag to me. If you're gonna like use something that looks very interactive and it's not, then I'm gonna be curious about what types of design you'll use.
Totally, you know. Yeah, I'm glad that you point that out because like yeah, they're tags and they really kind of like have a feeling of like a button, and the what makes them feel like buttons is the fact that there's like an actual arrow button at the bottom. So like that's kind of like following all that kind of like the same visual line, you know. So it's just like, oh, are these buttons or not? You know, it's kind of weird. But you know what's interesting about the border radius that you mentioned? I also feel that he went like crazy with the border radius. You know, like border radius is just like people think that it. I mean, I like border radiuses because it kind of like smooths out everything. You know, it kind of like gives like a flowy vibe to your UI. But there's such a thing as like too much border radius, you know, and in this particular case, it just feels excessive. You know, I will have like done like half of that maybe.
Sure, I totally get that.
That's a very personal take, but yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
yeah,
like,
I totally hear you on
probably like 32 pixel, maybe 16 would be perfect.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, totally personal. Yeah, for sure.
I totally hear you on that, though. I think the only thing that bothers me about it is the fact that the inner image doesn't have rounded to match. I think that's like, but I hear you, like definitely a personal touch. I liked the coming soon down here. I thought that was a nice touch where they are disabled and it had things like showing that here's other things that are coming. The only thing I didn't like is the fact that these look like they're interactive. Like that's not good.
Right.
What on hover?
Right, but like let me ask you something. What's the point of having a coming soon? You know, like if I'm like an employer, and then you show me a coming soon, it's just like there's only two possible thoughts that I could have about these. Like one is like I don't care. I mean, like why are you putting something that's coming soon if I cannot see it? You know.
Sure.
The other one is like, oh, it's interesting. It seems like he's working on other stuff, you know. But like, how can I be sure that he's actually working on? You know, it kind of like creates a lot of questions, and not like it doesn't give me answers. And like a portfolio is about answers, right? So like if your portfolio creates more questions than answers, I think that's already a problem, you know. So
totally.
If this was my portfolio, I would probably not have it coming soon, you know.
I totally
just like put it when it's already.
Yeah, that's a really good call out, Juan. I think the thing in my mind, what it says is like, I would expect this to be up soon. I think it'd be cool if he had a date on there, if you're going to have that. That way, like, at least you can say it's expected by this time. But one of the things I've seen with coming soon in the past, which I did like, was they would put as much information as they had and said, I'll be updating more as it comes in. And I've also seen coming soon where it's like, look, I actually have the deck made. I just don't have it in this form. Here's the deck. And so
Got it.
I've seen that too, which I like. But I totally hear you on that with like putting up too many questions and not answers. I mean, that's totally valid.
I also think that it would, like, on the positive side, I think like visually it was the right treatment, right? Like making it look disabled and everything. I think that you're right about like that was the right choice. I just think generally that section, like, it doesn't create like an inviting feeling of like, I want to learn more about like these coming soon projects, you know?
Totally.
Not really.
Well, the other side of that too that we should talk about a lot is this person is saying, like Prakash is saying that he's a UX UI designer, but then you come down here and this is branding, logo design, and like, you know, very much the visual design side of things. And so that's fine. You can be like skilled in both, but I'd put this on a completely different page. Like I wasn't thinking about
I see what you're saying.
But this doesn't belong on the home page if you're saying you're a UX designer.
Yeah, I can reflect a little. I mean, I can relate a little bit to that with my early portfolio iterations when I was starting my career. I think like I had like that. It's kind of funny. You want to show that you can do things, you know. It's like look at me, you know. I can also do branding, and I can also do. But like when I think about it, it's just like, okay, like you should be able to convey that with the portfolio, you know. Which is a big thing that I always tell people about the portfolio. It's like, if your portfolio is like a product too, you know, like the way that you execute on your portfolio is it's not only about showing your work and putting a bunch of case studies and like, just like, oh yeah, it's going to be cool. Or, you know, like, I think I'm going to like relate to this work. No, like if I don't get convinced visually, then there's already kind of like a big wall for me to like overpass. Right. Mm-hmm. So I can relate to the feeling of like, I want to show more and I want to show that I'm capable of different things. But I think that, yeah, there's better ways to articulate that. And I think you're right. Like maybe like creating a different section for that or something.
For sure. I mean, overall, he did an amazing job. I want to say like this is a portfolio that when you look at it, you can tell like there is an eye for detail overall. Even though I didn't open a single case study, I'm like, okay, there is a sense of craft. I can tell that he's even if he's early in his career, he's really not green, or if he is, then it's gonna take him no time to ramp up. I can really tell that. But the detail, the type, the spacing strategy, the color usage, even though that kind of white card like you talked about, Juan, is a bit much. Just having them green would be perfect. I guess like the only thing that's on my end that was confusing was the design principle section. I don't really know if like that's truly...
I'm with you on that. I read that earlier and I thought I didn't know if it was
truly I was like, why is it? Well, but the cool thing about it though is that it's not the usual thing of the UX process that no one cares about, right? It's like empathy and this and that. It's like just like take this out. But here it's kind of more interesting. Like the open-minded one is actually the open-mindedness one at the end is actually pretty interesting as to it's kind of like opens you up to who is as a person that is not taking himself too seriously. So it's actually good, right? But I don't know if I would call that design principles. Maybe more like I don't know
my beliefs. My design beliefs.
My beliefs, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I feel like it's. I know we're out of time on this timer, but I was gonna have like overall. I'm not like I like that. There's kind of like an intention with the color and like with the like you see like some craft or like an intent to show craft, and I think that you always gotta admire that like people are trying and not just like putting like some random thing, you know. So like a lot of the things that we're saying are just like things that you like learn throughout, like in the journey of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this, maybe I should articulate this better, you know. But looking past that, there's like, you know, like even the choice of the photo, how we created kind of like that little arc, that's like an intentional. If you go up, like scroll back up, like that's like an intentional design choice, right? Like you could have like very well put like a square photo and like call it a day, and he went a little bit beyond that.
It's like a doorway into his life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so
what's your rating then?
What's your rating? Juan?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say meh, but like I'm also like very kind of like the Prakash, if you're listening to this, like don't take like not don't take it personally. You know, I think like you have a lot of potential here. I think like mainly in the sense that like if I was hiring and like these land on my computer, like and yeah, like you know, like I will say that it's kind of like hard for me to like put this one like in my top, you know. But the other thing is I don't have any reference right now to compare it to, so like it also depends for what you're hiring for. Like you know, like unfortunately, like my calibration for this is probably not the first one because I'm like I'm trying to kind of like hire for like these like fan companies where like they really put like a lot of emphasis in like a lot of visual choices and like intentionality and whatever. So like I think everyone should aspire to have that level of like strict and like rigorous like approach towards showcasing themselves. But like I also think it will be unfair to like say that like that your first version of your portfolio needs to be like that, you know. So calling it meh, but like also thinking that like this is not that bad, you know, and I think this is like actually has a lot of potential and room for improvement. And I like that it like really shows who, or like Prakash is trying to show who he is, you know, and I think that that's very important.
Yeah,
I think I'll give it actually. So let's see, a good. I think a good. Actually, I would give it a good, solid, potentially in between, kind of like a 3.5 star.
One interesting thing about portfolios is that the way that they work, or like the way that they like the way that they work for you, or it's not the way that they work for other people. And that's like, you know, like it's almost always like there's like you always need to understand that like you are just trying to like elicit like a general feeling, you know, and like what this created for me is like, oh, this person is actually trying, you know, like this person is actually trying to. So it had like almost like you're right, Colton, when you said like this could be a 4 or a 5, because like if I look at this like as a wireframe, like it has all the potential already, you know, like this has the potential. Maybe he has more interactivity, maybe he like fixes like some like typographic things, but like it has like it's already kind of like a good tunnel into like something better, I think.